The presence of Nephilim in the world today is a topic of debate and speculation among those interested in biblical history, theology, and even conspiracy theories. Here's an overview. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video. Biblical origins of the Nephilim. The Nephilim are introduced in Genesis 6 verses 1-4, a passage that has sparked considerable debate among scholars and believers alike. The text reads, "When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." From this passage, several key characteristics emerge. The Nephilim are described as beings of great renown, often associated with physical might or supernatural qualities. Their existence is linked to the union of the sons of God and the daughters of men. Interpretations of sons of God vary, with some seeing them as fallen angels, others as members of a divine council, and others as godly descendants of Seth. The phrase "and also afterward" has been interpreted to mean that Nephilim may have existed both before and after the flood. Post-flood existence. The global flood, as described in Genesis 7, was intended to wipe out all life on earth except for Noah, his family, and the animals on the ark. If the Nephilim were pre-flood beings, how could they have survived? Literal survival. Some suggest that Nephilim physically survived the flood, either through their own means or by being present on the ark. This interpretation is often dismissed by traditional theologians as inconsistent with the text. Reemergence. Another interpretation is that the Nephilim re-emerged after the flood through another union of sons of God and daughters of men. Symbolic mention. In Numbers 13:33, the Israelite spies report seeing descendants of the Nephilim in Canaan. Some scholars believe this reference may have been hyperbolic or symbolic, intended to describe the intimidating stature and strength of the inhabitants rather than literal Nephilim. Interpretations of the Nephilim. Supernatural beings. The most popular interpretation among ancient Jewish and early Christian traditions is that the sons of God were fallen angels who mated with human women, producing the Nephilim as hybrid beings. This view is supported by texts like the Book of Enoch, which expands on the Genesis narrative, describing the Watchers, fallen angels, and their rebellion. In this view, the Nephilim were a unique creation, part human, part angelic, endowed with extraordinary abilities but inherently corrupt. Human giants. Some theologians argue that the Nephilim were not supernatural hybrids, but rather a lineage of particularly large and powerful humans. This interpretation often links the Nephilim to the descendants of Cain or other ancient peoples known for their stature and strength. Symbolic figures. A more modern interpretation sees the Nephilim as symbolic representations of human pride, corruption, or the blending of the sacred and the profane. In this view, their presence serves as a warning about the consequences of sin and rebellion against God. Contemporary theories about Nephilim. Despite their ancient origins, the Nephilim have captured the imagination of modern culture, fueling numerous theories about their potential survival or influence in the world today. Remnants of Nephilim DNA. Some fringe theories propose that Nephilim DNA could still exist in the human gene pool, passed down through generations. Proponents of this idea often cite reports of unusually tall or strong individuals as evidence of a lingering Nephilim heritage. Advances in genetic science have not uncovered any evidence to support this claim. However, such theories persist in certain circles, often tied to conspiracy theories about secretive, elite bloodlines. Hidden giants. Throughout history, there have been claims of discovering giant skeletons or bones, often attributed to the Nephilim. While most of these reports have been debunked as hoaxes or misinterpretations, they continue to fuel speculation about the existence of Nephilim-like beings. Some researchers claim that accounts of giants in ancient texts and oral traditions, such as those of the Native American mound builders, point to a hidden history involving the Nephilim. Spiritual influence. A more abstract theory is that the Nephilim, as spiritual entities or demonic beings, may still exert influence over humanity. This view is often tied to beliefs about fallen angels and their ongoing opposition to God's plan. In this context, the Nephilim are not physical beings but rather symbols of the spiritual battle between good and evil. Extraterrestrial connections. Some modern theories link the Nephilim to extraterrestrial beings, suggesting that the sons of God in Genesis 6 were ancient aliens who interacted with humanity. This idea is popular in UFO and ancient astronaut circles, but has no basis in traditional biblical interpretation. Arguments against their survival. The traditional Christian understanding of the flood narrative suggests that the Nephilim were entirely destroyed, along with the rest of the corrupt pre-flood world. Several points support this conclusion. God's judgment. The flood was a complete act of judgment, intended to eradicate all wickedness from the earth. The survival of the Nephilim would contradict this purpose. No evidence. Despite claims of giant skeletons and unusual artifacts, there is no credible scientific evidence to suggest that Nephilim or their descendants exist today. Spiritual focus. Many theologians argue that the significance of the Nephilim is primarily spiritual or symbolic, not physical. Modern cultural fascination. The enduring fascination with the Nephilim can be attributed to their mysterious nature and the potential for crossover with other myths and legends. Stories of giants, demigods, and hybrid beings appear in many cultures, from the Greek Titans to Norse Jotnar. This universality suggests that the concept of Nephilim taps into a deep human curiosity about the supernatural and the boundaries of human existence. The Nephilim also feature prominently in pop culture, appearing in books, movies, and video games. Their portrayal often emphasizes their physical might, moral ambiguity, and connection to ancient mysteries. Conclusion. The question of whether the Nephilim are still present in the world today is ultimately a matter of interpretation. From a biblical perspective, the evidence leans heavily toward their destruction in the flood, with only ambiguous references to their possible post-flood existence. However, their legacy endures in spiritual, cultural, and speculative contexts. For believers, the story of the Nephilim serves as a reminder of the consequences of human rebellion and the need for God's redemption. For others, they represent a fascinating puzzle, an intersection of history, mythology, and the unknown. Whether as historical figures, spiritual symbols, or modern myths, the Nephilim continue to captivate and intrigue those who seek to understand their mysterious. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.